Hello and welcome back, everybody, to the DanJohnUniversity.com podcast. I'm Dan John, and this is episode 281. Each and every week, I sit down and answer your questions. And listen, if you have a question, please send them to the podcast at this address, podcast@DanJohnUniversity.com. I'm more than happy to answer your questions. We have a real good set today. A lot of them are pretty simple answers. But I'll, as always, do my best to talk and drone on and on and on, like someone said in the comments not long ago. Okay, Ryan, I just finished an 8-week block of the Armor Building Formula. A great read. Enjoyed it equally as much as Easy Strength Omnibook. Hey, thank you. I like to hear that. I mean, it's it's nice to hear. I've managed to work up to 30 rounds in 22 minutes. Wow, with the ABC Complex, with a 26K and 28 pair. Since he doesn't have 28, doubles 28. For the presses, I can complete 10 rounds, 2, 3, 5 with the same pair. That's solid. That is, yeah, Ryan, that's some solid lifting. I'm relatively pleased with my progress. Well, tell you what, get the relatives out of there. I'm pleased with your progress, yeah. I'm wondering what next. I'm a fairly keen skier. Winter is approaching. Winter is coming. So wondered if it would be good to slide over to Easy Strength, as weekends will be mostly filled with skiing and hiking. Or could I look at another block of the Armor Building Formula and try to nudge the floor up again in an effort to build up on the program? From a goal point of view, I like to continue to build my strength for longevity and also for what the everyday throws at me. So a lot of you are probably hearing this and saying, the question is, what do you do after the Armor Building Formula? But don't forget, he wants to ski and he wants to hike, which is why I think Easy Strength is a better option. The reason is this: in an Easy Strength program, even if you add walking to it, Easy Strength workouts, I mean, I always say 15 minutes, but some people say it lasts as long as 20, but still, 20 minutes followed by a 40-minute walk, 20 minutes followed by a half-hour walk. That's going to be great for your skiing and your hiking. It'll be time compact. It's not going to eat away at any of the qualities you want to have on the slopes. You know, you don't want to be doing a squat workout 2 days before you hit the slopes. And I don't know what it's like where you're going, but when I hear how much it costs to get a ski lift, a ski pass here in Utah now, it's like, you know, how do people afford that, you know? You bring your family up with you. I don't know, man. That's very expensive. So why would you want sore thighs the moment you get on the slopes? So I would say Easy Strength. If possible, I'd kind of focus a little bit more on the military, a deadlift variation, ab wheel. I think the suitcase carry would be very helpful for a skier. And, you know, since you've been doing the ABC, why don't you keep in there the double cleans too? And if you want to combine it, make it even faster, double clean, double press, Easy Strength style. Might be, you know, get a lot of work done. Frankly, if you think about it, double clean followed by the double press is really an outstanding, you know, real quick workout for most people. But I would say Easy Strength followed by a walk. Don't go too crazy. If you feel the need, like on your walk, if you have a hill and you want to throw in some hill sprints, or there's a stadium, you want to throw in some stadium steps, as long as you're a couple days away from your skiing or your vacation or however it works out, I think you'll be fine. Great question, and thank you. Doug asks a question. I have a question that may be a simple yes or no regarding functional trainers for home gyms. Are they worth it? A bit about me. 70 years old, not particularly athletic or strong, a social gym goer for 20 years until the pandemic, bought a squat rack, barbell, loving this, and used starting strength programming for a year. Hurt my back by an ego personal record attempt. Hurt my bicep shoulder trying to do pull-ups. This is my I told you so's, but I'm not going to say it to you. Scale down, got a 26 adjustable kettlebell, love it. And now looking for an excuse to invest another $2,000 in a functional trainer add-on. I'm not sure what a functional trainer add-on is, but maybe I'm just bored and want something new to keep working out every day. It doesn't seem that functional trainers get a lot of coverage by the online gurus. And I got to tell everybody, Doug, that's kind of not a nice thing to say. Yeah, but who cares? I mean, who cares? Yeah. But walk into any gym and there are a lot of people doing lat pull downs, rows, curls, extensions, chest crossovers, face pulls. I know that I have enough equipment with enough options to accomplish my modest fitness strength goals, but what are some of the arguments for the functional training apparatus and when one is appropriate? Well, if I understand it being a cable station, I don't know why you won't just invest in a suspension trainer. Personally, the upside of, and now these suspension trainers are really inexpensive. When they first came out, they were in the low 200s, but somebody told me the other day you can get them for 30 or 40 bucks. And we have a little place over here in town that it's one of those places where, stuff falls off the back of a truck kind of places. Somebody told me that the best brand out there was on sale because they thought it was straps, like straps for an RV. And so they were like 20 bucks for the most expensive pair. And you all know what the name is. Personally, I would much rather you think about getting suspension trainers. At the beginning of the question, Doug, you asked if this was a yes or no question. I can't look at your pocketbook. I can't look at your situation at home. But for me, that would be a no. Anybody who's ever bought home gym equipment that is based on stretchy bands or cables or bungees, they're almost one step from bungees. One of the things you figure out very quickly is that these things just flat out fall apart very quickly. If you decide you're going to use it, great. I just know from my experience that stuff doesn't last long. There's better tools, much cheaper. And so my answer is, I hate ever to say no, but you only gave me two options, yes or no. So my answer would be no, but maybe if I get one in 2 years, I'll be like, it's the greatest thing ever. But from my experience, it's no. Other people might have vastly different opinions. Okay, thank you, Doug. And keep up the training at age 70. I'm proud of you. That's great. That's great to hear. We got a question from Neil, and Neil says this. In the kettlebell world, there are a lot of popular time-based workouts. For example, Gear Voice Sports Style Training, the Humane Burpee for Time, that's not supposed to be, but okay. The Armor Building Complex with every minute on the minute, etc. As someone who appreciates having itemized agendas for things, I like those type of workouts because you can put them in your schedule and know they'll fit. Yeah, that is a really good thought. If you're going to do, if it says to do 20 minutes of ABC, and you do it every minute on the minute, you can kind of figure out, how to, structure the rest of your day and your workout. I like that. Can you share some other ideas, time-based workouts, every minute on the minute, or workouts that have taken a certain duration time that work with a barbell? Yeah, one of my first published articles, it's back when Tabata, the protocol, had first showed up. And I honestly think, and I know that the people from the workout that shall not be named claim it, but my T-Nation article was out before, they did anything, but I could be wrong. But the Tabata style thing, I'm going to give you one workout that I thought worked. Nothing else works in my opinion. But Tabata is 20 seconds on, 10 seconds rest, 20 seconds on, 10 seconds rest, a total of 8 rounds, which is basically 3 minutes and 50 seconds, but everyone says it's 4 minutes, so I'll stick with that. Front squats, Tabata style, are brutal. I feel like I'm quoting the producers. They're brutal. I got to tell you, the first time I ever did it, and it's funny to think about, it was a while ago. So I just had to take Sirius Black to the vets for his last minutes. He died peacefully and happily. But years ago, I had a puppy named Lexi, and she was great too. She was a great dog. And the first time I did this Tabata style front squat workout, I put the weight up on the bar and I kind of staggered down. We had this little hill on our driveway. This will tell you how long ago it was. And I laid down in front of the fire hydrant. And I don't know, I didn't feel good. I was really concerned. And I kind of got up and there was a massive sweat stain. And she was in that her master's voice position, the old stereo picture. And she was like, I'm sure she would have called 911, but she didn't have thumbs. And I just remember how brutal it was. The only one that works well is front squats. Other time-based workouts. Now listen, Neil, I do the Hercules Barbell Club. That's my team. Hercules Barbell Club, Coach Dave Turner. We've won the state championship, like 3 dozen times, something like that. I don't know. It's a lot. And I have a program. And what I do now is I do every minute on the minute for the same reasons you mentioned. I do clean and press, 1 clean, 3 presses for 5 sets, 1 squat, clean, 3 press, 8 doubles in the snatch, 8 singles in the clean and jerk, and then 5 sets of 5 in the front squat. And it's every minute on the minute, including the transitions. So going from the clean and jerk to the front squat is still EMOM. I mean, it's brutal. So you could probably pick 3 to 5 exercises. Simplify it, pick 3 to 5 exercises you like, what to do. Lighten up that load and just chase it every minute on the minute. I got to tell you, if you decide to do 5 sets of 5 and let's just come up with something that is reasonable. Okay. So the military press, the row, a squat variation, a deadlift variation, and the curl. So that's a 25-minute workout. You might have to use, the curl probably came at a bad time. It might be better to go clean and press or military press and then curl, because then the weights are probably around the same family. And then you can just slap plates on it, however you do it. Those workouts can be brutal. So Tabata, every minute on the minute. When I coached that in the high school setting, we had that, it's called the bell lap in track and field. They have this bell, and I always kept mine in the weight room. Every minute on the minute, we'd start ringing that bell as loud as we could. We'd all salivate. Pavlov, okay, not funny. Those every minute on the minute and Tabata are my 2 favorites. I do have another one where you do exact rest periods after every minute. So say like you're doing sets of 8 in the squat. As you rack the weight, I look at the clock. We have a standard clock in my weight room with a second hand. So if it's the second hand is on, 15 seconds after, it's on the 3, I start the following set on the 3. So that's another favorite of mine. The thing I like about that, and I learned this, it had been in the 90s, is if we're doing 3 sets of 8, you'd be shocked to see how light that last set, how light the weights have to be to get that last set of 8. And I always would tell the athletes and myself, even have to remind myself, don't judge the weight until that last set, because say like you're doing front squats, 3 sets of 8, and you're only using 165 pounds, which it's just not that heavy. I mean, it's heavy, but it's not that heavy. First set of 8, you rack it, By the time that minute goes by, you still haven't really recovered from that first set. Then you do another set of 8. So you're huffing and puffing from set 1, you're huffing and puffing from set 2, and now, you're sticking your neck on the bar, stepping back on set 3, and you got to do a set of 8. So those would be my favorites. So my Tabata, it's funny how many are front squats, but the Tabata every minute on the minute, and then the exact 1 minute rest. Other than that, I never prescribe rest periods at all because so much depends. If you're deadlifting 600, it might take you weeks to recover from that, not minutes. Okay. Good question. Thanks, Neil. Really good questions. This is another fun question. Gary, is this? My background is I'm a 65-year-old guy, exercise mostly based around powerlifting exercises and accessory lifts for 30 plus years. Started doing more loaded carries, good, since listening to you, and I'm enjoying them. You talked about how you like front squats. I feel I'm in the category of long femur lifter. Oh, okay. I have decent ankle mobility, but with squats and trap bar deadlifts, I feel like I'm still lean forward and front squats are awkward. What are your thoughts on squat wedges as a tool to help me with front squats? Or should I go with kettlebell rack squats instead? Okay. I have no issue with wearing weightlifting boots, squat wedges, any of that stuff. If you said you're 65, if you said you were 15 and you want to be an Olympic lifter, well, we would probably still put wedges and Olympic lifting boots on you, of course. But one of the things we would do is at the same time we're getting you to do those workouts, we're going to be addressing your personal issues of mobility. Now, you got to be careful when you say you're tight, because even though it might be, you say decent ankle mobility, but you're leaning forward, you got to be careful sometimes about just making this general thought about what is stiff. I've discovered this with racking the weight in the front squat up here. A lot of people say, well, it's wrist flexibility, but when I see them do the stretches, all they're doing is stretching their fingertips and the wrists aren't moving. It also can be elbow issues, and it can also be shoulder issues. And I'm sure we could just keep marching back and say it's trap issues, maybe, I don't know, T-spine issues or anything else. So when you're chasing mobility, if you're 15, it is going to be a much more multi-dimensional stuff. At 65, wanting the front squat, step on that weight, step on that 2x4, step on that wedge, get those nice boots on. Yeah, I think you're doing just fine. But then you said kettlebell rack squats. I'm guessing kettlebell front squats. I got to tell you, I just read someone sent a note to me that after all these years of me talking about them, they finally did double kettlebell front squats, and basically the email was that I'm right and they were wrong, because it's so much harder. It is a wonderful exercise, and it's literally one of the few things I go like this with my magic wand and say it's the answer to a lot of people's problems, and it's a great lift. Finally, I had one more question from Gary. He said this: what do you think about the kettlebell mile in the category of loaded carries? Well, of course I'm a big fan of it. When I first started working with some of the military teams, I pushed that a lot. And then some of the feedback I got is when you work with some of those elite performers, their concept of moderation is not there. So I don't talk about them as much because I always worry. Two guys went off on a run with a 32K one time, and they ran 10K, 10 kilometers with 32 kettlebell bells. And he goes, wow, that was the hardest thing I ever done. I was like, yeah, well, I didn't necessarily think you should have done it. But one small thing I should add, the two of them shared the bell. I'd almost forgotten that part of the story, but it really became an interesting conversation. Like, hold on, can you go longer? I'm dying. Okay, I got it. Okay, now I got it. I'm dying. I got it now. Yeah, so how fun. Yeah, big fan of it. If you decide to do it, underbell the first time you do it, get the mile walk in, and then just see where your own... the thing I like about the way we do it, where we go suitcase carry, rack walk, waiter walk, and then switch hands to the suitcase carry, rack walk, waiter walk, is it does give you an insight to where you really are struggling with your just knitted strength. Okay, thanks. That's a good question. Ken has a question. He goes, I have 2 questions about coffee. The first one is that you've mentioned you would drink 2 pots of coffee a day. And then he says, did this happen when you were young or gradually increase your coffee drinking experience? I never drank coffee, even though I grew up in a household of coffee drinkers because my mom wouldn't let me. When I was a senior at Utah State, I read an article that said combining grapefruit with coffee really helped. Now, I got to tell you, that's still true. There's a magic chemical, whatever it is, in grapefruit that stops the downregulating of caffeine, as I understand it. So it's Utah State. In fact, there's an article in the Statesman about how I was mixing grapefruit with cold coffee because I couldn't drink it hot because I wasn't very tough yet. So for performance, I would eat a grapefruit at track meets and pound it down with as much cold coffee as I could find. You just got to imagine what was going on in my stomach. Didn't drink very much coffee at all for the next few years, even though coffee was becoming, let's go out for coffee, happened on my watch in the early 80s. When I started teaching at my first high school, they had a massive pot of coffee, and it was one of the few benefits I got. Don't forget, I got paid 4 figures my first year as a teacher, which isn't a lot of money, to teach 4 different preps, and football, wrestling, track, freshman moderator, and I helped with the chess team. So when something was free, I took advantage of it. And once I started drinking coffee, I really started to enjoy it. I didn't start drinking coffee at home, until I got back from the Middle East. I mean, it might not even been until the 80s. I think I bought my first coffee pot for the home probably, late 80s. And then later on as a teacher, some of my favorite memories of all time, I had a massive coffee pot in my room. Faculty members would come by, my students would drink coffee. During the periods where my room was free, students would sit in my room, do homework, work together, drink coffee. We'd listen to jazz, Broadway tunes, classical music, and of all the teaching I've ever done in my life, I think that's some of the best. Yeah. So, okay, sorry, a little bit down memory road right there. The second question is, you mentioned multiple times in your podcast, 2 cups of coffee have more fiber than 1 banana. I've mentioned that one, but that is what I read, and I think there's some truth in them. But then he asked, what form? A cup of Americano or espresso? And how about the amount of the beans? Maybe this is just a dumb and weird question, but I hope to get your answer. Yeah, I'm not sure. There is a number of different kinds of fiber, and it was really a big deal when I was young. The soluble and insoluble fiber. I have a great book right over there called Fiber Fueled. I do believe that a huge part of the obesity epidemic is lack of fiber in the diet. And I do think, from my experience, from discussions I've had with other people, is that there is fiber in coffee. I'm guessing that it's soluble, but coffee has got a lot going for it. It's got great polyphenols. It's got caffeine, which is the most popular drug in the world, and it's got a little bit of fiber. A little bit, it's not. You'd have to drink 30 cups of coffee a day to get your fiber in you. And I think by the time you did that, you'd have a lot of other issues going on too. But and I don't know what the differences are on the different varieties of coffee. Basically, I drink. Well, come on. This doesn't ever go well with the women in my life, but I like Folgers. Hell, I drink instant coffee. I drink coffee at hotels. I drink church coffee. I just drink coffee. I don't. It's funny to when I order coffee at a restaurant, they always start going down this list. I'm always like, hot black coffee, whatever you have is fine. There's that great scene in Elf about world's best cup of coffee, and I'm more on that line. I like that kind of coffee, the kind you go, diner coffee. So I hope it helps, Ken. Fun question. I did enjoy answering it. Our last question today is from Steve. I like the idea of doing a quick and efficient workout nearly every day, but I tend to go too hard and wear myself out, resulting in too much work and not enough recovery. What's the secret to finding a sustainable level of effort that allows for daily fitness improvements without overdoing it and needing to back off? Well, this is why it's so important to have a journal, a training diary. You know, mine go all the way back. It was kind of fun when John Call was here a few weeks ago. Juju, Mufu, Juju, shoot, I don't remember that. Sorry for that, folks. But it was just great having him here because I got a chance to show him my journals. And you can go back to 1972 and see what I was doing that day. And one of the nice things about journals isn't so much the writing of it, it's going back to it and seeing the mistakes. Nearly every training program I've really pioneered and or developed and or became the voice box of usually deals with what you're talking about, Steve. How do I rein it back in? In armor building formula, I think it was an armor building formula. It could have been an easy strength omni book, but I talk about how had to is the most important thing in my training. My transformation program, which, really helped my throwers, and I still use it. It's a 7 or 8 minute workout with the Olympic lifts, because that's all the time I had. Easy strength, 15 minutes, because that's all the time I had. Loaded carries. Well, I could have my daughters playing in the background, in the backyard, while I was getting a workout in, carrying stuff back and forth across the lawn while they were cutting Barbie's hair off, because that seems to be something girls do. So for me, two things. Having my journal, going back, I call it mining my journal, going back and seeing every time I do this, something bad happens. Stop doing this. I have a journal note in 1992 that says, for you, most of the time, lifting weights 3 days a week is all you need. And I've broken that rule a few times, obviously. I mean, I still like lifting 5 days a week, but, now I lift 3 days a week. I have a ruck day in there. I have a tonic day in there, and I have a go for a walk day. So I do have an off day every week. But I like to go for a long walk. I like to do mobility, and then I lift weights 3 days a week. That's another reason. We had a question earlier about timed workouts. One of the reasons I like to use time as one of my factors in my workouts. So there's load, there's reps, there's sets, there's exercise selection, and then there's time. Is one of the nice things about using time, and you're doing a bit of it right there. You said, Steve, I like the idea of doing a quick and efficient workout nearly every day. So what you need to do maybe is look at your quick and efficient workouts and see what's struggling with you right now. To be sustainable, to be able to train year in, year out, decade in, decade out, you're going to need to have, you need to look at what is hitting you. Now, you didn't give me a lot of direction here, but if it's exercise selection, I mean, I got to be honest with you. In my typical workout, I do clean and press, I do squat snatch, I do squat, clean and jerk, and I do front squats, and then some kind of carry, and I go for a walk. Those are big ticket movements, so I have to lighten the load. Those are big movements, so the reps have to be kind of low. The sets are high. I mean, I do 8 sets of 2, 8 singles. The reps are high, but because and I also go every minute on the minute because I'm trying to get the workout in half an hour, 26 minutes plus the carry. So look at what you're doing. I almost feel like I'm the 1 minute manager right now. Look at your goals, look at your behaviors, do your goals match your behavior? But look at your training, look at what's getting you, what's making it too hard to recover, and then just work with either the reps, the sets, the load. I think you have time already figured out, and the movement selections, and then go from there. Steve, it's a good question. If you don't mind sending in a little more detail to me so we can talk about this more, with a little more clarity, okay? So thank you. Well, there you go. Our episode is finished. Remember, if you have questions, send them to podcast@danjohnuniversity.com. Each and every week, I sit down here and I do my best to answer each and every question. And until next time, let's all keep on lifting and learning. Thank you.